So dito, for the desired learning outcomes for this module, you have to distinguish humanities and sciences as fields of learning. So magkaiba po yung dalawang yon. Later on, I'll give explanation kung ano ba ang kaibahan, bakit natin kailangan pag-usapan. Number 2, survey the place of humanities in the history of Western civilization. When you look at the history, makikita natin ano ba talaga ang significance ng humanities dito sa Western civilization. Ano ba yung kaugnayan niya? Ano ba yung pananaw natin dito? Starting from the ancient, going to the medieval, to the modern, to the postmodern, ano ba yung pananaw dito ng mga tao? Ano ba yung contribution? Ano ba yung influence nito sa kanila? Kaya lalo-lalo na sa larangan ng arts. Number 3, relate the Western concept of humanities with the Filipino notion of pagkatao. There is a Filipino sociologist. Later on, we'll talk about him sa mga susunod na video natin. He talks about kung paano naka-apekto ang culture, paano naka-influence ang personality ng isang tao sa paglikha, mga artifacts. Examine the history of art as humanistic discipline. Number 5, compare and contrast the concepts of art according to Western thought and Filipino thought. So titingnan natin, may kaibahan ba ang art, ang pananaw ng mga artist ng mga Western o kaya naman ng mga artist natin dito sa Pilipinas? Is there any difference? Baka wala naman. So titingnan natin yung dito. Discover the Filipino identity through the arts. So we have Filipino artists such as Fernando Marsolo, Damian Domingo, for example, na kung saan pinakita niya dito ang kultura sa kanya, ang kultura ng mga Pilipino sa pamagitan ng kanyang pagpipinta. Makikita din natin yung mga iba't ibang kasuutan ng mga Pilipino sa kanilang everyday life. Namit, kapag ikaw ay mamamalengke, kapag ikaw ay nagbebenta ng mga isda, ng tubig, o kaya naman kapag ikaw ay nasa formal occasion, makikita mo may iba't ibang mga pananamit din ang ginagamit ng mga Pilipino sa panahon na iyon. Number 7, apply the Filipino sense of art in the appreciation of art. Dito po sa Module 1 natin, we do have preliminary activities. So, sabi lamang dito sa instruction, look for a Filipino artist and find out the factors affecting his work. Maghanap ka ng Filipino artist. I know you guys encountered contemporary arts during your grade 12 sa senior high. So, dito pwede nyo pong balikan yung inyong mga inaral ng mga contemporary artists natin. Tapos tingnan nyo, ano ba yung naka-apekto? Ano ba yung mga significant factors na naka-apekto doon sa pagiging artist ng Pilipino na iyon, art. So dito muna tayo sa lecture 1.1, Art as a Humanistic Discipline. Nakalagay dito, frameworks and perspectives. Now ang tanong, ano po ba ang framework? Framework is the basic structure of something, a set of ideas or facts that provide support for something. Okay? Kumbaga ito yung pinaka-structure po niya. Kaya yun ang ating ginagawang basihan para tingnan yung mga bagay-bagay. Sa arts, may ganun din po. So ano yung magiging framework natin dito? Ano yung dapat nating gamitin para maging basis natin? Perspective is the interrelation in which a subject or its part are mentally viewed. The capacity to view something in their true relations or relative importance. Kasi dito nakalagay sa ating lecture 1.1, bago mag-fields of learning, framework and perspective. So ano yung ating magiging basehan dito? Paano natin titingnan sa pag-aaral ng art appreciation? Ano ba yung mga dapat nating i-consider? Ano ba ang relasyon ng ideas, okay, dito sa aaralin natin? So here we have what we call fields of learning. In the fields of learning, meron tayong dalawa po dyan, sciences and humanities. Sir, ano yan? Bakit sciences at humanities? Wala na bang iba? Yang dalawang yan ang ating laging tinitingnan. Ibig sabihin, kapag nag-aaral ka, when you study, when you discover things, you are employing two significant approach or process. So here, our main focus is not the science, but humanities. In humanities, under that, we have language, history, art, and philosophy. Ang tanong dito sa apat na ito, ano po ba similarities ng apat na yan? Bakit po yan under ng humanities? If we are talking about humanities, and the approach of this is something more on personal, okay? Then, what is the relation of these four branches or disciplines of in learning? Okay? Language, we talk about what? History. Ano yung pinag-usapan natin dito? Art. Philosophy. Okay, yung na grade 12, meron kayong philosophy subject. Usually, sinasabi dito ng mga philosophers, ang philosophy ay ginagamit upang mas lalo nating maunawaan ng mga bagay-bagay. Right? Using the human reason alone. Hindi ka pwedeng doon lang tumingin sa pananaw ng science, hindi ka pwedeng tumingin lang doon sa pananaw ng theology, hindi ka pwedeng tumingin lang sa pananaw ng sociology, hindi ka pwedeng tumingin lang sa pananaw ng psychology, but you have to dig deeper in order for you to understand the deeper meaning of things using reason alone. So that is philosophy. That's why you have logic, epistemology, metaphysics. Napakadami ng mga inaaral dyan, rational psychology. So here, mamaya sagutin nyo yun, yung tanong, ano kaya similarity nitong apat na to? Pero masasagot natin yan dito, okay, sa ating discussion. Art, pag sinabi naman natin art, under po niya, meron dalawa, art creation and art appreciation. When you talk about art creation, from the term creation, we are talking about the capacity of a person to create a particular art. Now, we are talking about the practice. Papaano mo ginagawa ang isang silya? Papaano mo ginagawa ang isang basket? Papaano mo ginawa ang banig? Papaano mo ginawa ang electric fan? It involves artistic concepts and skills. Okay? So that is what we call art creation. Art appreciation is merely on spectator or theory. Kumbaga dito sa art appreciation, you understand important theories in arts, and then you are applying them in looking at a particular art. Ganun lamang po yun. Pag-apply lang ng mga nakikita mo. So, makikita mo ang ganda na ginawa ni Pablo Picasso sa painting na yan kasi ang kanyang in-apply dito ay abstract concept. Napakataas din ng monetary value kung titingnan natin. So, ganun, art appreciation, pag tinignan mo isang bagay, ma-apply mo kung ano yung mga teorya na nalaman mo. Paano niya in-apply yung colors na yon, yung lines. Yung pagtingin natin, medyo mas malalim pa. Kasi meron tayong basihan sa mga teorya na yon. Impressionism, mangling, abstract, realism, surrealism, napakadami po niyan, ng mga yan. Another one here is, ito na, two general fields of learning. Sciences deals with natural physical phenomenon. So, ang tinitingnan po natin dito, yung natural, kung ano na yung nakikita natin outside of the person. Like for example, when you look at the table, when you try to discover, to explore kung anong meron dyan, paano niya nagawa ng isang artist, ano ba yung mga kinonsider niya dyan, that is what we call scientific method. Okay? Inaalam mo, ano ba yung material na ginamit dyan? Paano niya dinesign? Okay? Ano ba yung kanyang concept? Ano ba yung purpose ng paggawa ng table na yan? And that is what we call scientific. At tinitingnan mo lamang ay yung kanyang panlabas. Okay? Humanities deals with human phenomena. Ito na po yun. So, kanina, under humanities, meron tayong iba't ibang disciplines of learning such as language, art, philosophy, history. So, yung mga yun, makikita natin, may kaugnayan lagi sa human phenomena, human experiences. Ganun pala, when you talk about art, it involves human experience. Hindi natin pwedeng i-judge lang ng gano'n. Kailangan tingnan muna natin ng maayos, na mabuti. So here, in the paradigm for learning, the sciences, meron tayong scientific method na tinatawag. There are two elements involved, the subject, the knower, or the object known. So makikita natin dito yung pagpapaliwanag mga kaibigan, if you have encountered your philosophy, this is something philosophical explanation. Subject knower is a term being applied, being used in the study of epistemology. Epistemology is a branch of philosophy that delves in the validity and certainty of human knowledge. Nag-usapan lang dito ang proseso. Man alone in the universe has the capacity to know outside of himself. Alam niyang discover, alam niyang explore yung mga bagay outside of himself. Kaya tinatawag siyang subject and knower at the same time. So dito, pag scientific ang approach natin, may tinatawag tayong scientific method. Tao, ang inaalam niya lang yung mga bagay outside. Katulad yung sinabi ko kanina, when you look at the table, ang aalamin mo lang naman dyan, ano bang meron dyan sa table na yan? Ano bang meron? Bakit ganyan ang kulay niyan? Bakit ganyan ang shape niyan? That is what we call scientific method. Scientists learns about the things in the world. This paradigm is somewhat explained philosophically in the sense that a person who has the cognitive abilities able to search for the meaning of things outside of himself using the scientific method. Thus, understanding the truth relies basically on the sense perception of the subject who has captured, abstracted the immaterial form of an object. As you can see, the explanation here is somewhat philosophical as well. Paano ba yan? Baka hindi natin masyadong maunawaan. Ano ibig sabihin po dyan? The understanding of truth, yung katotohanan daw, naka-rely lamang sa ating pananaw, sa ating pagtingin. Sense perception, senses. How many senses do we have? Sabi dito, sabi sa philosophy, in order for you to know things, it must go through sense perception. Kaya kailangan malaman mo muna. And that is what we call, what kind of method is that? Realism. Para malaman mo ang isang bagay, kailangan dumaan yan sa iyong senses. Nakita mo, narinig mo, okay, nahawakan mo. Okay? Paradigm for learning in the humanities. Dito naman, subject knower is equivalent to object known. Kumbaga, ang inaalam lang din ni subject knower dito ay yung sarili niya. Yung object dito, hindi yung mga object outside. But the object here is the person itself. Bakit? Because when you talk about humanities, you try to understand more of yourself other than understanding the objects or the things outside. Kasi sinasabi ng humanities, in order for you to gain knowledge of things, the very basic thing that you must understand first is your very self. Sinong philosopher yun? Socrates. Ano sabi niya sa kanyang famous axiom? Know thyself. Okay? That is very important. Tama nga naman. Bakit mo kailangan magtingin? Bakit mo kailangan mag-rely sa mga bagay outside where in fact you have to assess, you have to evaluate your first self. Huwag kang judgmental. Huwag kang tingin lang ng tingin outside. Tingnan mo din ang sarili mo. Baka may problema doon. Okay? So yung po yun ang sinasabi dito ng humanities. Ito yung kanyang perspective. Wherein, pag nakilala mo na ng gusto ang sarili mo at nakita mo ang kakayahan mo, therefore, that is the time for you to be able to create something beautiful, something significant. So that is the paradigm for learning humanities. Here is the explanation. This paradigm simply highlights the importance of the self-reflection or evaluation in a real-life setting. We do not tend to see the things around us according to their aesthetic value, but instead, we see ourselves and we identify how we can share our potentials for the betterment of the society. Art is not about how things being captured by our senses. It is about learning that we are capable of understanding our own unique powers, our ability to do what is substantial and create significant value to others. So napakaganda pala ng approach po niya compared to scientific. So dito naman mga kaibigan, ang laging tinatanong po niya sa approach ng humanities ay yung very basic question natin, who am I? Meron tayo dito mga philosophers. Kanina nakapagbanggit na ako ng philosopher natin like Socrates. May mga philosopher dito or thinkers whose thoughts, basis of method in the humanities. First philosopher is Socrates. Socrates is a philosopher in ancient period that clarifies the truth as that which can only be acquired through the art of self-reflection. One must know thyself in order to actualize all the potentials. Kadalasan, we tend to compare ourselves to others. Titingnan natin kung ano yung meron sa iba at kino-compare natin kung ano yung wala sa atin. Ang sabi dito ni Socrates, mas maganda, para mas lalo mo pa makilala sa sarili mo, alamin mo din yung mga kakayahan mo. Don't compare yourself to other, but instead, you discover, you explore your capabilities, your capacities, in order for you to be able to actualize the potentials that you have. Kasi lahat ng tao meron daw ganon. When you talk about art, kung titingnan natin ang basic notion ng Darwinian theory in arts, from the very moment of our existence, art or artistic passion of man is already embedded in our nature as a person. Kailangan na lang ng exploration and enhancement at the same time. So magandang tingnan pa din ang bawat sarili para mas ma-evaluate natin kung ano yung mas maayos. Another philosopher here is Saint Augustine. He is one of the most prominent philosophers in the medieval. Siya yung nagsulat regarding Fides et Ratio. It is a Latin for faith and reason. Ano ba yung mga pinag-usapan dito ni Saint Augustine? As a little advertisement, sa medieval philosophy, Saint Augustine made a very relevant contribution because they used philosophy to defend Catholic faith. Scholastic philosophy was applied in order to defend the Catholic faith against paganism. Kasi mga tao nun, hindi na naniniwala sa Diyos. Kaya ang ginawa nitong mga philosophers na to, like Saint Augustine, Saint Thomas Aquinas, Saint Bonaventure, Saint Anselm, napakadami ng mga philosophers na yan, and some of them were also the founders of the Catholic faith. Dito naman na sinasabi dito ni St. Augustine, withdraw into yourself, truth dwells in the inner man. Ang gusto niya lamang sabihin, truth can be deduced, can be abstracted from within us. St. Augustine also defined the term conscience. Conscience is God's written law in our hearts. Para maging maayos daw ang ating mga ginagawa araw-araw, tingnan natin ang ating mga sarili. We have to reflect who we are as a person. We have to reflect on our purpose, on our nature as a human being. Medieval philosopher, one of the pillars of the Catholic faith, claims that our rational soul leads us to understanding of truth. Thus, every rational being knows the end of his actions. Alam na pala kaagad natin yon. Alam natin kung makakasama sa atin yung isang bagay, alam din natin kung makakabuti yon. Because it's already imprinted in our human soul. That is according to Augustine. Thales of Miletus. When you study ancient philosophy, one of the significant natural philosopher that you will encounter is Thales. Thales is known for the idea that everything comes into existence because of the element of water. The element of surprise, iba yun. Element of water. When you look around you, plants may have survived because of water. Human beings, animals, and other living creatures have survived because of the element of water. Every person should self-reflect and contemplate on the direction of rational inclination. So it's not only talking about water, but it's trying to tell us that things around us has bigger relation in our human development as a person. So yun, kaya humanities is being perceived according to what we call the idea of the process of self-reflection.